Thank you, Collective. How you doing for intentional conversations? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Sheila, your host, and today's topic is going to be a little uncomfortable, but something that we need to talk about in the collective. I've been seeing this trend for a couple of weeks now that someone is going through a lot. Male or female, maybe a group of people are going through a lot right now. I made a joke lightly about it, but I see that people are now starting to make sense of what I was saying. Um, Let me just share it with you guys. So today we're talking about something that is rare for us to see it, but it's heard of, okay? And this is for those who are actively in Christianity, knows that the I call it the nuances of spiritual warfare. But what's happening in the collective right now is that it comes to a point where people are starting to change their lives, right? The people not just glowing up, but they're starting to heal and grow, and they're starting to see the patterns of their lives, and they're starting to change these patterns because everybody wants to have a betterment, not a detriment, but a better outcome in their situation. And so people are starting who have benefited from the old versions of themselves or have become comfortable with the version they knew of you. And now it's not that it's getting to the point where people are being upset because you're changing. You're starting to mature, you're starting to make decisions, and you're not making decisions for them, you're making decisions for yourself. And so you have to learn how to really have a power of communication to get these people or people around you to prepare for the changes that you're implying in your own life. And so it starts to become inconvenient. And then this is where the art of fear and manipulation and pressure start to fold into your life, because as you're trying to maybe not be a cocoon as a butterfly, but you're already a butterfly that's taking off into your new beginning, people may uh not drag you down on purpose, but drag you down because of they have to take the load that was always theirs to take, or feel dragged down because there's new pressures in their own lives, because you may not be in the position that you have always held for a very, very long time. So this brings a lot of fear in people. And so some people cannot find you as predictable as they used to see. And sometimes when you're seeking freedom, it threatens people when they see you starting to find some sort of freedom. Not in a negative sense. I want people to not to feel oppressed, but it's definitely a energy of that out there in the collective, because people are used to a certain identity of you. There's certain limitations or compromise that you have uh, maybe developed over the years, especially some of you who are in marriages or family dynamics. You compromise in a lot of situations to fit things, to benefit, to help, to support. And now these limitations are starting to, um, go back towards the responsible hands as it should. And this is where people have to think about, if somebody said they want to go to college and the husband saying, she's asking, I know some people, if you're having to ask permission to better your life and make other people inconvenience in a sense, that responsibility is not yours. They have to find their own resolutions in solving those problems. So, for instance, if you've been working all these years, you get married, you've been married maybe for a year, 6 months, maybe even 4 or 5 years, and you're spending your good hard-earned money to make the living for your lifestyle, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you need a vehicle. Most 9 times out of 10, a lot of you will turn to each other and you will have a discussion, and it will feel like you almost have to ask permission to go buy a vehicle, like what kind of vehicle, do we share a vehicle, or this person has their own vehicle, and you have to ask each other almost permission to do these things. And that is where I'm trying to get that sense. That's the same thing in family, where things that you want to do, you have to almost ask permission in order to do it, because of the limitations that has been placed and where people have benefited off of certain things for a very long time. And so it becomes a part of your identity. And so if someone spends years and years and years believing that they were a leader because you never spoke it, there's people that may actually believe that they have a part in decision making in your life that you really shouldn't have authorized. And sometimes you have to, this is probably due to fair communication. Okay, this is get done, let's resolve an issue. And then over the years, these people are just walking around not saying they're dictating, but they have become used to an identity where they just can assume that, hey, this is a group decision. This is not your decision. What about the rest? How about everybody else? So this is a type of communication where you have to give head notice. When you have to, hey, there's change coming ahead. We have to save for a job. We have to find our means and things like that. So this is where a lot of you are starting to emerge right now. So you have to find your voice and good communication so that you can still feel powerful and not doubt yourself, because people have maybe been very comfortable with you doubting yourself, maybe questioning everything that's been happening, and now you're starting to feel more powerful and making these decisions where you're about to either fly or you're already flying towards this new beginning. Any case, what happens when somebody wants to write your story? When somebody sees you starting to change in a dynamic, they want to start controlling decisions. And maybe it is a good idea. It may sound like a good idea, but is it? And so a lot of you have people who kind of overstep. They want to, I don't say they want to overstep, but they kind of put their foot and face into your business, into a way where you're not living as an adult or an individual. Now you're living as a part of their ecosystem. And so I think a lot of you need to understand that when things get strange, when people start responding to who you actually are and what you're, and they need to start responding to who you're becoming. And that's where a lot of us become the scapegoat. That's when you start to become the problem, because now you created them to shift in the growth that you're trying to have for yourself. This is when you start to become rebellious. This is when difficulties have been this you become the difficult one. Now you're not the breadwinner anymore because now you don't work as hard or you don't work as much. So people are starting to these emotions will start to pop up. And so in the collective, I do see this happening in a business setting where someone who should be grateful for for you being around, or maybe as long as you have supported a certain dynamic, people want you to stay in your lane when you're trying to grow outside of it. And so when you're starting to grow outside of your lane, you're starting to evolve, maybe in your business, maybe you're trying to branch out, do different things. Somebody wants to walk in right at that point before you start to make these big decisions and start to dictate what you're allowed to do. You can't do that. You can't do this. You have to ask me first. You got to run it by me first. And someone in the collective, as a business owner, seeing a lot of emerging, inspiring people out there in the community who wants to expand and get out of their comfort zone and grow a bit in their business or grow a bit in their dynamic. And there's someone who wants to walk in and start to literally tell you, you can this is what we do over here. This is how you should be doing it. This is what you should be doing. It's almost like somebody wants to bombard your space and just starts to dictate all up in your space to see what you're doing. Almost a big old meddler of circumstance where somebody needs to set boundaries. Someone wants you to remain small so that everybody else is comfortable as well. So somebody is very uncomfortable when you're starting to stand in your position. And someone's very uncomfortable that sometimes they have to get an entire group of people to participate in the same, what they see and fear. They want to hold, like, their family members or their friends to echo that same fear out loud. And so I'm not saying that these people are necessarily evil, but there's some of them are. But some of them are in a system where they often are trying to protect themselves, and then they project this energy out into the collective in a very hot mess, sloppy, nasty way. And that's where these groups or these systems or these families starts to protect their stories so that they can protect their identity that they have held, or the patterns of family, or even the community traditions. This is how everything was always done. Why you're changing things, why you leaving. These are the energies that people are going to be hearing about in the future. This is not a healthy dynamic. So someone out here is in this position where things are rapidly changing. Their behavior, people say, you're innovative. They may not be innovative. And they're seeing innovative people starting to emerge, and they're literally trying to force themselves to either be innovative through you, with the control leadership dynamic, and then maybe take credit or act like they have some sort of authority over your evolution or maybe whatever growth that you're getting ready to emerge out there in the collective. And you have to set your boundaries, collective. This is where people do weird stuff, and things like change exposes things. And so now in the collective, people talk about we're hearing this thing called the octopus spirit. And there is people who are casting these entities out and have placed them on people. And so now you're breaking it. I do see people breaking these spirits and they're going back and they break this, you break the spirit and it's going back. Someone is trying to mentally entrap you through a octopus spirit. And they're trying to do this so that they can maintain some sort of control or authority somewhere, not just in your aspect of life, but also theirs. And this is coming out of fear. Someone is acting, I have to be honest with you, someone in the community has been doing a lot of, I have to say honest, witchy things that are very inappropriate. I think they are in the collective have stalking multiple community people. Like if you got an event coming up or you got you have maybe a good format in your business, this person is literally stalking these people and have been inflicting octopus spirits. And I'm not just saying only octopus spirits, that's just one part of the dynamic for a lot of people. And you guys are breaking these spirits, but the people keep resending them every time you break free. And they're not sending one spirit, they're sending maybe 2 or 3 octopus at you, and lust spirits and poverty spirits. And these people are definitely, I don't want to say that some of these people are somehow maybe the practice that they've gotten themselves into has disturbed their mental health. They have made this a habit, pattern that is very exposed now. This is a very exposed pattern. And this is not a pattern that I know, like for instance, when somebody says octopus, I know who worked with octopus spirits. And so I'm already knowing who's who. I'm already like, I know who sent that. I mean, for me, I'm very intuitive. I know who sent what. A lot of you may not even know these people personally. I do feel like a lot of you thinking there's somebody you know, but in the collective, I'm seeing that these are people you don't know. They become stands. I call it weird stands in the aspect of social media. These people are been watching maybe your Facebook, your Instagram, and this is not me saying it like I'm somebody, like I'm on the outside. This is happening to me as well. So I posted that octopus comedy thing was a heads up for not just for me but for everybody. Now the lucky thing for me is that I have my octopus protocol. I can break octopus spirits, thankfully. But there's a lot of you who wouldn't even know that you have an octopus spirit, because these octopus spirits literally give you visions. It will talk to you and everything. So a lot of you are I'm very lucky because I have a protocol that really helps to break these spirits. But a lot of you may not. But I will say keep fighting. Don't yield to it ever. And don't yield to the witch ever as well. So that's what I would tell the collective, that there's someone in the community in real time. And so this is why I'm bringing it up, that someone is getting ready to go through some sort of either business dynamic change, career change, college, school, career, business, or even marriage. And someone will be exposed because they're uncomfortable with this change or this blessing or this big shift in your life, and they're not a part of it, or they're not having it in their own experiences. Okay. So this is where people are starting to apply pressure towards you, guilt, manipulation, fear, even isolation, and yes, even witchcraft. And the witchcraft of choice seems to be somebody wants to inflict you with an attachment of an octopus spirit. And people say, how do you break an octopus spirit? Well, you have to break their technicals first and its head. So if you're doing prayer, you have to strike its head and you have to strike its technicals. And you got to know what areas of life is attacking. Is attacking your relationships, finance, business. So you got to really, either go get divination or go into mad hardcore prayer. and ask Archangel Michael to slay this particular spirit, and be patient, because some of you cannot break these spirits. Like I also feel, from myself, I can break these spirits pretty quick, but for a lot of you, it may take you quite some time to shake this spirit off of you. But it's really your mental health. I always tell people, like, the octopus is all about your mental health, self-esteem. It will talk you out of things. It will make you very scatterbrained. You can be wanting to work on a project, and you'll end up doing 8 different things before you get to it, or maybe not get to it at all. That's the signs of an octopus. Before you know it, you're scattered with all this data, like, projects, and you created 17 projects. And, also, there's a good side to an octopus, and then there's a horrible side to the octopus, because a lot of you who are in shamanism know how to work with animal spirits. So some of you know how to control and deal with the octopus in a good way. But then there's the dark side of an octopus, where they send these out to feed on people. And that's where you have to be concerned with the operation of the practitioner and the helper in your life. And so you have to break these spirits mentally. Like, you have to kind of keep your mind on cue 24/7. Even when you're asleep, you have to get up in the morning and denounce a lot of what you felt in your sleep. Do not yield to it, and do not yield to the witch. But you need to listen not to the spirit, but listen to your own inner dialogue of what decisions to make each and every day. Because if you have, I always tell people, get a to-do list of what's really important to handle that day, and make sure you stick to it. Because in the spirit of the octopus, it will lure you off into everything else is a higher concern than the concern that you're trying to aim on. And some of you who are having these high callings, they want to try to keep you from your growth, which is your business, your projects and writing, or whatever it is that is going to make you stable. Okay, maybe financial, just being seen in the public as a certain way. So this is what's happening in the collective. You have to be mature about this. This is a demonic stronghold. And I know for a fact that it's a person that's sending it to people, and it's just not sending it to one, but I think it's sending it to multiple people out here in the collective. And you have to be, you may feel the pressure, but you may not can explain it to everybody, because how are you gonna tell everybody that, hey, I think I got an attachment? And everybody's scared of an attachment. But this one, I would definitely say, you have to have consistent prayer, and you need to know how to strike it, in order to handle it. And someone is monitoring you, and every time you defeat this octopus, they're sending it right back, trying to make it stay on you. And it's obvious for a lot of you that this has been happening for about maybe a month or two, but it's starting to get more public notice now. Something's definitely mentally off of the sender, because if you broke it that many times already, why are they still sending it? I do not know why the person is still sending these octopus when you're defeating it faster and faster and faster, collective. And keep defeating it. Okay, do not yield to it. Some people are just pulling for attention, and it's just not good attention. Some people are pulling on your confidence. Some people are trying to pull on your certainty. But almost like the octopus that wraps around your head and then it wraps around your body. It's trying to wrap around every decision you make. And it's not necessary because someone has power over you. They do not, the octopus do not have power over you. Strike it, aim for the head, and aim for its tentacles, cut it off and make it not regrow. Have Archangel Michael do it for you, and be patient, because it takes time for it to come off of you, for some of you. Another thing is years of conditioning that taught you to seek approval before freedom. It's the key. Somebody wants you to suffer in a way where you either collapse, give up, and then you have to almost crawl, get it off of me. Somebody wants you to almost come to them and bend the knees to stop oppressing you. That's the key. That's what I'm seeing in the collective. Somebody's their mind is not well. This particular female practitioner that's doing this to the collective right now. This is a real battle. Okay, this is not. This is somebody who's playing very, very dirty in order to keep themselves maintained in some sort of level of status or clout, but they want to take from you or embody you and leave you left in a very stagnant position, limited position. Okay, collective. Not whether somebody may wants to try to own your destiny, somebody may want to try to own your gifts, somebody might want to even try to own your future, and it's almost like they're trying to imprison you, or I'll call it spiritually kidnap you, or will you in suffering so that they can will what they want from you. You will obey me, and I will not destroy you type of mentality. That's the energy that I'm seeing in the collective. So don't hand over the keys. That's just me. I'm just gonna say it just like I see it. People are trying to build mental prisons in your mind, and it's not made of iron, collective. It's something about these people want to make something. They want you to ask again. It's giving me the energy of asking for permission. This is you. You may not even know this person. You may not know this person. Maybe you know them from a distance or something like that, but they want you to ask for permission about decisions in your life. You know, like they're God, like they're taking over they're trying to sit in the seat of God type of vibes. Okay, collective. So somebody's definitely got some mental health issues for sure. The moment you stop asking people for what you're allowed to do and just start to become, it's going to be a much better situation for you than just being in a prison with an open cage. You know, like you're in a cage and the door is open and you just won't walk out. Okay. I think a lot of you need to just stop asking people for what you want to do in your life and start to have communications where people have to prepare for those changes and adjust. And that's where people get nervous, and this is where people get stressed out, and this is where people start to spiral a little bit because now they have to kind of pull their actual weight. And this is the same in business, okay? So they're meeting the real version of you, and it's not useful version of you, okay? So that's the version that people carry every day. Somebody has somebody else's expectations, and the actual you, the beautiful part of you, have to be mindful not to fight everybody. Be mindful not to have to prove to everybody and then having to convince everybody at the same time. So you have to simply become, but you may have to do it quietly. You may have to be consistent and unapologetic as you move forward in your life, but you have to be mindful that people may debate what you're doing. People may wait till you leave and gossip in these groups and these families, and they'll start to debate what you're doing. And as you try to continue to become who you want to be, or how God wanted you to be, it could create a lot of pressure. So you have to be careful of the assignment that you choose, okay? Because your assignment was never meant to maintain someone else's legacy. Again, you convince everybody else, but you're struggling to maintain. You like I said, there's a fortress of limitation, and you having to seek approval. It's not what you want to do. You got to have conversations where people have to prepare for their own growth expansion as you're growing, even if it's uncomfortable. So, so my statement to my collective is that your assignment is to live your life and start learning how to have conversation with people. And some people you don't even know. So these people are not even allowed to have conversations. These people from the outside, if you're doing a business, going to college and dating someone, and someone from the outside is trying to echo in, you have to set boundaries, higher boundaries from this individual. So something is disturbing. Something is disturbed about an individual who will seek through witchcraft or communicate to family or whoever to hinder your growth and your own sovereignty and decision making. You do not need to ask permission. You're a grown ass adult. You can give clarity and communication for them to prepare for change, but they cannot hinder your change. And then you have to be very careful that some people are so malicious that you can't even say anything to them. You got to wait till dawn, the crack of dawn, wake up, they look, you gone because they hinder you so bad. They have sabotaged you before. They have created world storms of problems, and now everything's your fault, and their health is failing, and this is why this is all your fault. You wanted to leave, and now I'm sick, and these people can be dramatic as fuck. So somebody right now is seeing other people starting to expand, and now they have become dramatically ill. Someone is ill. And so they're making decisions while they're sending these spirits out. They have become ill. Everything that's going on in their life is a you problem. They want to throw all the pointing at you. This is you're making me you. It's making you think about people who are like in their older years, and you're trying to leave to go home. They're like, don't leave me. I'm like, oh my God. It's this gut-wrenching, paralyzed state of limitations. And even though they got all these other people supporting them, they don't want you to go. That's what I'm seeing. And so that changes everything when you start to have to live your own life. So people need to understand that. So that's the collective message. That my closing quote is that people who need you obedient will often fear your authenticity because you're becoming yourself anyway. And so be mindful of the problems as you're starting to evolve. Maybe you want to grow, maybe you want to move, maybe you want to go to college, maybe you want to get married. And that people are now starting to create problems in your life because they're fearful of you, of having to pull their own weight in some way. And if you're dealing with somebody who's not capable of owning their own weight, then you have to find the resources so that they are secure. But it's not your responsibility if it's a stranger. I'm not talking about you like your family member. I'm talking about like your these people from the outside. And then that's not your responsibility to take care of people from the outside. These are grown ass adults. You got to set boundaries. And if you don't know those people, you got to pray those boundaries up. And so someone out here in the collective could be a spiritual mentor in this community. I saw the woman, but I'm not going to say no names. She's out here casting all these damn spells because she's in fear. Maybe she wants to be your friend. Maybe she don't know. She some of these people, like I said, they're going through some sort of mental illness or some sort. And they're one to have good things, but their spirit is corrupt in some way. And somebody's doing a heavy, very malicious warfare out in the community. And they're doing so with these octopus marine type spirits to mentally engage people in doubt and stagnate a whole collective community so that they can still appear on top while they try to steal from the collective and act like it's them that is creating these innovative ideas, and it's not them. They're stealing it, or they're trying to. And I don't see this panning out well for this individual. But that's what's happening in the collective. You have to stand in your power, stand in your authority, no matter what. Do not yield. Do not yield to the spirit, and do not yield to that witch. Point on blank. I don't give a damn. Okay? Do not yield. All right, collective. Peace out.